want to look them straight in the eye, and I want to tell them what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
And welcome to the InstantCast, presented to you by the PewterCast. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the Buccaneers traveling up to historic Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. With me, as always, I am Brent Allen, your host. I have Ren Daxt. We'll be sharing our thoughts on the game, but we'll also be taking some of your thoughts on the game when we open up the phone line. Ren, how's it going tonight, buddy?
You know, you told me that you were going to play that rant from Christmas Vacation, and I really forgot how funny that was. And it was, nice pull. That was perfect. Yeah, what a bunch of monkey shit that was, right?
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
I just, what can you say? I mean, I'm going to start calling the Buccaneers like Meet the Robertsons. They found another way. They just found another way to lose. They figured, you get a quarterback throws less than 100 yards. I think his QBR was like under 49. It was like 48.7. Mm-hmm. And, just offense can't get in the end zone, special teams turnovers, costly penalties. And then at the end, the defense played great for 3 3/4, but when they really needed to step up, Green Bay just marched right down the field twice. And in the overtime, they passed the ball once for 3 yards. I mean, the guy got more than 3 yards, of course, but the actual pass was 3 yards. They just ran it right down their throats. Ran it right down their throats.
Yeah.
It's just, monkey shit.
Yeah. It's, I can't even – this is one of those games I want to sit back and I'm like, at least this was an entertaining game. They played, they were in it. Not a moral victory. I'm not saying that. I'm not accepting mediocrity. But, I want to say that. But I can't say that. Because, it just in my heart of hearts, I was like, well, man, they'll be able to do this. That it came down to the very end. There was, 2 minutes left on the clock when they got the ball back and the game was tied up. And you're like, wow, that's perfect. They'll go down the field. They'll kick the field goal. They'll win the game. And we'll be done, or, we'll win the game, and that's the way that should work, right?
And after one play, they're at midfield.
Exactly.
Oh, wait.
Right.
And Evan Smith is now my new Cole Gardner. Evan
Smith.
Man, what a terrible homecoming for that guy. Whew, he did not look good.
Or, well, depending on the side of the ball you're on, maybe it was a great homecoming for that guy.
Did you hear that he lives there, like in the off season?
Yeah.
All he has to do is wear his jersey, and that guy's not going to have to pay for a drink all off season when he's up there in the Green Bay area. Just wear his Bucs jersey out. Yep, that's me.
Yep, kept the playoff hopes alive for you guys. Very slim one. This was certainly that. Now, Ren, I'm going to spoil the entire conversation tonight as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a person to lay the blame down at a single person's feet.
Right.
But for tonight, and while I will not say that the blame for tonight lays at a single person's feet, not coach, not player, not front office staff, it does not lay at a single person's feet. But if I had a person to pick on the most, it is going to be Evan Smith. And it was the shittiest shit show of a shit show of an offensive line performance that we have seen in a shit show of a season. And now listen, Evan Smith, last year I kind of came to the conclusion that we were a better team with him than without him. But that was when he was a backup guard and could swing into center if we absolutely needed him to. And we did, and that was fine. And here's the deal, we pick on Evan Smith all we want, and he's going to get a lot of flack from Bucs fans, and he should for this game. I think it was Mark Cook maybe had pointed out something earlier tonight. Maybe it was Trevor, both guys over at Pewter Report, saying, listen, to be fair, he hadn't practiced at center all week. To also be fair, he's a veteran and a veteran center. Like, that's his actual position. He's not a guard. He's a center. Like, that's what he has been in this league. But, I remember
snaps at center.
Yeah. But I remember a couple years ago when he was brought into the team to be the center, and oh my God, that sucked. And then the next season we were out, and I think he went down, and that's how we wound up with Joe Hawley. And Joe Hawley was a marked improvement. And I was glad to have Evan as a back. I'm okay with Evan now as a backup guard. Nothing more, nothing less. But to put him in as starting center and expect him to play the whole game, I mean, it was not okay. Not okay.
Yeah, and it's not. Can you really be that surprised? I mean,
he's a third string center. That's the thing we have to remember about this. He is our third string center. We have passed over him for two other players. For whatever reason, we've kept him on the team. You would have thought he would have gone to another team by now. We would have cut him, but we didn't. And he is still the third string center.
Right. I mean, you could have, if you keep that in mind, you can put up with the high number of sacks, even when the screen game was working so well, for the entire game. When it didn't, it was his fault. Like, he'd get out there and he'd miss his block.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of forgive that. What was I don't want to harp on one play, but man, it seemed that he was the biggest reason the offensive stalled.
Yes.
Series after series
yes.
after series. It seemed to be, you could point to, oh, he missed the block. Oh, he had a penalty.
Oh, he had another penalty.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another penalty.
So
he missed that block. Yeah.
Like you said, you can't lay it all down his feet as a third string center, but man.
He snapped the ball before Jameis was even near him.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do any favors for his popularity in the locker room,
right.
Or I should say Bucs fandom this game.
Right.
But, at the end of it, I guess if you had to pick one player, it'd be him. But, that wasn't the only problem out there today.
It was
for sure.
It was not, and we will certainly get to most of those, if not all, here over the course of the next hour. I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who is joining us live at mixler.com/thepewtercast. Lots of people over in the chat room, Ren. This thing is getting more and more popular. This thing was starting to fill up about 30 minutes before the show even started tonight. People were jumping in, a couple people jumping in, going ahead and having conversations. They're having great conversations right now talking about Corey, I like this. Corey says, let's look at the positive. If Rodgers had been in there at QB, this would have been a 73-3 game. So you can expect all that kind of stuff and more. They're asking, is Peyton Barber going to be the number one running back now? A conversation I'm sure that we will have. So I want to say welcome to everyone over there who has joined us in the chat room, mixler.com/thepewtercast. This is also a live call-in show. We will take your phone calls, and you can actually dictate our conversation. Ren, I'm sure you and I both have notes that could fill up this whole hour if it was just to be you and me. But we really, this show is about the fans, our fellow Buccaneer fans, and getting to listen to what you guys want to say. So the phone line is open. The number is 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. You call in. We will take your call. We may or may not keep it short. I always remind people, we try to keep this a PG-13 show, but as I've said for the last couple of weeks, we don't really edit it. So, we'll see what happens. But you guys call in. The phone line is open. There is only one phone line. So if somebody else is on the line, just wait for the line to clear and then give us a call in. We'll stay with you as long as you guys are calling in, but we're aiming for about an hour tonight.
Yeah, I have decided as soon as we finish this and we log off, I am going drinking. So,
yeah. Is this you need it, or is this it just seems like a good idea right now for you?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, first off, I am not shy from the booze, so It's rarely where it's not a good idea, especially like a Sunday brunch day drinking, one of my favorite activities. But it's after this game. I felt physically, I swear to God, as soon as that game ended, the first thing I thought in my head was, oh my God, I don't want to go on the air. I don't want to do it. And it wasn't because of like, oh, there we go.
All right, let's see who we got. Oh, I know who this is. Welcome to the InstantCast with Brent and Ren. Who do we got here today?
Hey, guys. It's Kevin from Tampa.
Kevin, what's going on, buddy? Buddy, I don't think I have talked to you since you and I got to hang out a little bit at the last home game.
I know, right? It's been a minute.
I know.
Well, we got a whole lump of coal on our Christmas stocking, right, guys, to start the new month?
Well, to kick off the Christmas season, it's.
Can we just say Evan Smith is literally it's like he's a lump of coal. He played so awful tonight. I literally was just mad. I said, I got to go get out the house. I said, I can't watch Evan Smith play center anymore. He's awful.
Did you really leave during the game?
Yeah, I left. I literally took my kids and my wife. I left. I'm like, yo, I'm going to go have some lunch.
Kevin, I go back to he's our third string center, and that's why.
But Brent and Ren, it's bad enough when Aaron Rodgers, when we first signed Evan Smith, was saying how disappointed he was that the Packers didn't want to re-sign this guy. I sort of kind of called a red flag there, like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers knew that this guy's not good. Mm-hmm. He was only good in Green Bay. He's not good.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he couldn't have been that good in Green Bay, or otherwise they wouldn't have let him go.
Exactly.
I mean, exactly. And I don't know. To be fair, I have zero idea what happened. That he was. I don't know if he was a cap casualty. I don't know if there was an injury situation. I don't know if he just was stinking it up, and Aaron Rodgers just happened to really like him because he was a good drinking buddy. I don't know, but there's a reason they let him go, and we were desperate for a center at the time.
Isn't that kind of the narrative of these free agents when they get let go of teams like T.J. Ward? Hey, some of these guys, they were good when they played for us, but now that they're gone, there was a reason why they're gone. So, narrative of just watching this team, fight hard to score first. Actually, when we first scored in the first quarter, and then just watch the game just slowly just dribble on down, and then watching James with this unadvised pick that he threw, which it looked like I think his own player even hit the ball out of his hands when he even went to the throwing motion. I was just like, "Are you serious?"
Are you Kevin? Are you talking about the play? Kevin, are you talking about the play where he wound back to throw, but it just slipped out of his hands, like he squeezed the ball too hard and it popped out of his hands?
I don't know if it was hit by a player or
it just like, have you ever been in your backyard and you go to throw a ball and all of a sudden it winds up in your window and you're like, oh, it just slipped. That was it.
No, that has never happened to me. No.
Okay, well, Ren, you have to throw a ball in order for that to happen.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I am not going to do that.
I'm the unathletic one out of the two of us.
Holy crap! I'm not the most athletic guy in the world, but my God, I'm like, really? I'm like, this is like the Carolina game again. Like, why, Jameis? Just eat the ball. If anything, just eat the sack, because the line he had played piss poor today. Yeah. And honestly, this kind of starts falling on personnel moves. I clearly think that, even though we had a patched up offensive line, this clearly means that I think offensive line needs to be a big priority in the offseason. I even put it on Twitter for you guys to even say, hey, I think we really need to look at getting this offensive line fixed or fixing out what is our problem. Because you had Barber had a great game. I was like, wow, I was like, this guy deserved more playing time. And that's why I kept wondering, why doesn't that guy get enough PT? He seemed like he wants it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Peyton Barber's in a spot where he can earn himself some more playing time. That's where he is right now. And based on his performance today, it looks good. He has the opportunity to earn himself some more playing time. And one game doesn't change your entire roster. Like, it doesn't move. your starters down. It doesn't. But if he continues to put together a body of work over the next couple of games of however long Doug Martin's going to be out with a concussion, I think it is this time.
Yeah. He's got a concussion.
You know, he's got an opportunity to put some good, put some good stuff on film and make a real argument for why he should be, moved up in the snap count.
Agreed. And I think also, too, with his out of the ability that he can catch the ball, too, he seems like he's a little bit more viable than Charles simply because he seems like more of a north and south runner instead of that east to west runner that they've been trying to use the whole season long, which made no sense at all. And I'm like, what are you doing, Dirk? What are you doing? This team needs to be north and south down the field. If you want to keep Jameis being natural as a quarterback and you want to be a running team, north and south runners you need. And you need the line to protect to make that kind of difference. And actually, we did see some of that with Barber today. So I was impressed with that. But it's just disappointing. Like, we all thought this team was going to really do well. But now the reality is that they're a 4-8 football team. And we're looking possibly at a top 10 pick. I don't know.
Probably. Hey, Kev, I am going to go ahead and clear this line because I know we've got lots of people who've been wanting to call in, but I'm going to respond to what you just said there. Thanks for giving us a call in tonight, Kev, all right?
All right, guys. See you guys next home game against Detroit.
Thanks so much, Kev. We'll talk to you next week, all right, buddy?
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs. Yeah, that was Kevin Sloan, good friend of the show. Ren, I'm going to let you respond talking about Peyton Barber and some of that offensive line and all that stuff. But I do want to say, phone line is clear if you guys want to call in, 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. Ren? How about we answer a phone call?
Yes.
You are on with Brent and Ren for the InstantCast. Who do we got here tonight?
Craig in Vegas via downtown Milwaukee tonight.
There you go,
How
Craig in Vegas. We were expecting this phone call tonight.
Give us the mood.
Hey.
Who'd you see? How's the stadium? Paint the picture, Craig, before you tell us how terrible
the stadium was beautiful. I mean, but when you sit in the seating area on the benches there, it reminds you of the old sombrero. So it's
okay. Question for you, because I didn't notice this until seeing a couple pictures that some of you guys were posting. Are all of their seats like bleacher style, hardcore aluminum bench seating?
On the everything there on the lower half, yes. Now there's suites and all that behind those, but there's some upper decks that have like normal type of seating that they just built in the last few years.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but. Remember the old seat backs you used to rent in Tampa Stadium?
Oh, yeah.
They still have them there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The gold,
so
the gold and
they're really
silver bleacher seats with the numbers spray painted on stencil.
Yeah, it honestly, it's like going to a college game, but it's a pro game. The way the town feels as well too. It's like rolling into a big time college football town in a small city. Because the whole city revolves around it. Listen, if anybody wants to do it, it's well worth it. I mean, we took a bus there for the day for $45. It's a fantastic trip. Win or lose, obviously like to win, but overall, it's a fun trip. So if anybody's even thinking about it next time, go ahead and do it. It's money well spent.
Craig, I know you probably called in because you have some thoughts on the game, but I just wanted to find out from you, having been there. Describe for us. We all know how the game went. Okay, fine, whatever. We've heard that plane loads of people were heading up there. With the Buccaneers, fans and things like that. How was just the experience being there with fellow Buck fans? What did you see? What did you experience being out there?
Sure, I was on the 40-yard line, about 24 rows behind the Bucs bench. So there's plenty of Bucs fans there before the game. There's a lot of people at warm-ups as well, too. We took a bus from downtown Milwaukee. There's people staying at our hotel or other hotels. So there's a ton of people that came, and not just Bucs fans that were from Tampa. I mean, from all over. People came from Chicago. People came in from the West Coast, from California. So there were quite a few people that came from, Nikki was there as well, too. So there's people that came from all over. But there was quite a few, there was a lot of red. You could probably hear it on the TV when there was a couple touchdowns scored as well too. But overall, I mean, the Bucs fans showed up on the road. Everyone was like, "Wow, it's quite a few of you guys here." So there was a lot of people when the bus came off. There were a lot of Bucs fans.
Cool, very cool.
All right, what you got, man?
Yeah, so my bone to pick about my couple things to pick about the game, and then I'll hang up. Listen to you guys. Number one is this. that team was one dimensional. The Packers. There was no threat of anybody throwing the ball. I mean, there was no threat of it. So you had no threat of that. But when you're down, when you're up 3 and the defense is, hey, listen, you just got to get them off the field. They couldn't do it. And the defense, until that last drive, had only been on the field for maybe 5-6 minutes tops in the second half. So it wasn't like they were tired and they gave it up. I mean, I only know if they gave up the field goal. That's fine. But still, defense hasn't, you got the lead with under 5 to play. It's time to close the team out. And they just didn't do it. They gave it up, and it was all run. And then also what bugged me, too, is you saw it on the last drive on the tying field goal, and you saw it on the overtime drive. There's no adjustments when they can't run the read option, and the DN keeps crashing down. Golston did it in overtime, and you could see him getting on him as well, too. There's no adjustments. And the other play that bothered me some is, listen, I know it's 3rd and 20, you're backed up on the 10-yard line, but you're not going to the playoffs. Why run a draw there? Throw it down the field, see what happens. You have, maybe get Evans, as well too. But in overall, I mean, they ran the ball well. I wish that there were some places they just should have kept running. When they stopped running is when they stalled their drives out as well too. But I either something's got to change, and either Dirk's going to have to fire Mike Smith if he wants to keep his job. And I also think as well too, like I said, the play calling he's got to get. It's too predictable. When it's 2nd and 6 or 7 or more, they go away from the run. But 3 of the 4 plays they're breaking for 5 to 7 yards. And what's also driving me nuts is they ran well up the middle, and then when they ran off tackles, when they got stopped. And so you saw that as well too. And they keep going back to it as well too. But it's a shame. A lot of people showed up. It was great. It was a bucket list trip. But like I said, it would have been even better to come back with a W. But once on 3rd and 12, when you can't, get their quarterback down, a game over at that point.
Yeah, it's you talk about the run, and not seeing adjustments. And this is kind of one of the notes that I had we watched tonight the Packers make probably the most obvious adjustment you could ever imagine, which is, okay, we can't do anything throwing the ball, but damn it, we can run this ball all day long. They can't stop us. There were so many holes that the runners were finding, and I don't know if their top runner was Hundley or not, but he had to have been up there as one of their better runners because he was just taking off. And then I forget the names of their other 2 guys, but Williams, I think, is one of them.
Jamal Williams and Jones, right?
Yeah, and now I can't confirm this, but Jones was the guy who took in that touchdown in overtime and finished up the game. Was that his first touch of the night?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that true? That was his first touch of the night. Was the final play of the game? That's crazy.
Yeah,
AC was just in there because Williams was gassed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, well, I'm going to hang up and listen to you guys the rest of the night. But,
all right, thanks, Craig.
Like I said, it was a fun trip, but like I said, it'd be nice to finally get a W on a road trip, too.
Yeah, we we need one of those. So thanks again, Craig.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, phone line is open if you guys want to call in. The number 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. Ren?
Peyton Barber.
Peyton Barber. Yeah, let's talk about him.
Peyton Barber had a very good game. The problem with Peyton Barber is his pass protection. He really needs to clean that up.
Was it just as bad tonight as well?
Yeah, it was.
It was
that sack where Clay Matthews came in untouched and Jameis Solomon just went down and he just sort of slapped him on the head for a sack. That's Barber's pickup. He went the wrong way. Donovan Smith had the inside guy. It leaves Clay Matthews a free runner, and Barber's supposed to see that and come over, and he didn't. And it wasn't the only time. That's the one that just sort of stuck out for me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why Peyton Barber doesn't get to play a lot. And that's been sort of his Achilles heel since he came to the Bucs or came into the league. And also, he's a little bit of a one-dimensional runner. We say he's a downhill runner. Oddly enough, how much everyone, including us and me, have been banging on Evan Smith. Like Craig said, the best run plays were right up the middle, in between, center and guard on both sides.
Yeah.
So
And as much as we can complain about Evan and Sweezy and Pamphile, because Pamphile did not have a good game, Sweezy might have had the best guard game of today. Maybe I don't know. I have to go back. It's 50-50. I have to go back and look at the film to verify that. But that's kind of my instant response of Sweezy didn't suck as bad in this one as he has in previous ones, especially compared. I always felt like when we were in a negative side of a play, or if I would kind of rewind the DVR and look at the play again, that it was something bad happening with Pamphile. That's just my instant talk on it.
Yeah. But we were talking about Peyton Barber. Yeah, he should earn more playing time. I think at least for the rest of the year, he's jumped ahead of Quiz.
Yeah.
As far as we'll see what happens to Doug and concussion and where they put him in. They seem to be going towards not so much a youth movement, but they're letting these younger guys come up and see what they have for the rest of the season, so they know where they stand going into the off season. So you can see Barber getting more and more touches. Yeah, he had a good game, but I will warn you, as the Morning Buccaneer fans, one game does not make, like you said, it doesn't change your depth chart.
Right.
As much as we've hated the run game and blamed it on Doug, and then Quiz hasn't really ran well.
Blamed it on the O-line and blamed it on
Yeah, Peyton Barber, I think last week was, even though he had 2 touchdowns, which of course is great, he was like 1.9 yards per carry. This week, everyone ran for 5 or better. I think Peyton Barber was 4.9, but Jaquiz Rogers and Charles Sims both ran the ball over 5 yards per carry. So I think
it was. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to cut you off there.
No.
Charles Sims actually taking a handoff, not a pass, a handoff in the backfield and running up and gaining positive yardage. When was the last time we saw that?
There were draws, and there were sort of surprise runs. I mean, it wasn't. You can't give the ball Charles Sims 3rd and 2, and you need 2 yards. You just can't. You can't do it. He's not. But yeah, he had a good game running the ball for Charles Sims, and he was deadly in those screen plays. I thought it was a pretty good play calling by Cutter, because he knew that the offensive line wasn't going to be able to hold up, especially because Green Bay likes to bring one more guy than you can protect for. So with 2 guys at new positions and 1 guy barely played at all, we're talking about Caleb Benenoch, he knew he had to get the ball out of Jameis's hands quickly, and so he ran the screen game today, and I thought it worked really well. I mean, the reason the screen game didn't work wasn't because of what Green Bay did. It was mostly because, and I hate to bang on him again, it's because Evan Smith missed his initial block.
Yeah.
Besides that, it went for yards and usually went for a first down. So I thought that was good. As far as Peyton Barber goes, to wrap that up, be careful what you wish for. Yeah, he had a good game. Yes, he ran better this game than Martin has all year. I get that. I'm not arguing that point. What I'm saying is that everybody ran the best they've ever run this game all year.
Behind the most patchwork offensive line that we've had all year.
Yeah, so it might have to do a lot more what Green Bay was doing to try to stop the run than more of what Barber was doing. And I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I'm just saying that if hey, Peyton Barber, we found a running back, we don't need to draft one. No. We need to see more.
Right.
Definitely need to see more.
Yes, absolutely. Peyton Barber does not mitigate us needing to do something. Not right now. Not after this one game. Does not mitigate us needing to do something with the running back position. Which I have gone on to say it is not our top need on this team, but I think it is climbing up there. And if we get to the draft, especially if best player available matches positional need, and that happens to be running back in one of the top 3 rounds, I would be okay with looking at that. You mentioned Caleb Benenoch a second ago, to go back to the offensive line. And I think rewatching this game is going to bear this out. He was gassed by the 3rd quarter. You could tell he was not in for playing 70 some odd snaps. And I don't know how many snaps the offensive played. It seemed like a lot.
A lot.
80,
especially
a lot.
In the second half.
Yeah.
A lot.
But he
did not have his best game, especially pass protection.
Right. And I don't. Is this the first time Caleb Benenoch has played the whole game?
Yeah, he started last year.
Did he? Okay. Yeah, I just don't remember.
And the game before the game he started, he played like just about all of it.
Oh, he did? Okay.
It was an injury and he came in, but it was like early first quarter. Didn't have a good game, had a big jump in that second game. And then Dirk Cutter said this week he's actually has really progressed in his run blocking.
Mm-hmm.
But pass protection today, there were some times where, he was, as soon as the ball snapped, it felt like he was looking, turned around and looking at Jameis Winston because the guy has already been by him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's your seventh offensive lineman. So
yeah, he usually is 6th or 7th. He's the quote unquote backup guy. Let's talk about the pass blocking. Saw a stat on TV, and this was somewhere in, I want to say, the third quarter. So this is not the number for the end of the game, and I didn't write it down, so I'm trying to remember it out of my head. However, it was something to the effect of, on Jameis tonight, there were 6 sacks, 9 hurries, 10 hits, and like 8 something else that's really bad. Like the offensive line, knockdowns. That's like Jameis was not clean at the end of this game. And apparently maybe he might have done something to an ankle. They kept talking about it on the broadcast. He did look like he had a little hitch in his giddy up a few times.
He always has a hitch in his giddy up.
I was going to say, he looked like he had it, but I wasn't sure if that was just Jameis, or what. So it'll be something to see in the injury report when that comes out later this week, and actually get something official about that. But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, that is a horrific set of numbers.
Well, we thought the pass protection was going to, suffer with our, Demir Dotson was, as far as pass protection, last time I checked, he graded out as the best right tackle in the league. And then you take him out and throw in your second year player is making his second ever NFL start. Something's going to happen. And then, of course, the third string center and Pamfield didn't have a great game. Sweezy hasn't had a great year. And Jesus, Donovan Smith, could be the worst left tackle in the league. Totally kidding. But, he does tend to have up and down games.
Mm-hmm.
So
somebody said in the chat room, who knew that Donovan Smith would go out there and wind up looking like our best offensive lineman on the day.
Well, he's not the worst Smith on the team. I'll give you that.
I would 100% agree with that.
So no, I'm not really surprised, and I don't think the Bucs were either. I'll just sort of reference what I said about the screen game, the short passes. That first drive where they went down and scored, Jameis was taking the check down. Getting the ball out of his hands quick. Wasn't hanging on to it. So I think they were ready for it and they were prepared. And when your offensive line is that beat up, you're going to give up a lot of pressure. Every NFL team in the league does. I mentioned this on the last pod we did. Watch Russell Wilson. He's been running his life for 2 years. Watch Kirk Cousins, that Thursday night game. He's been running for his life since game 2.
Mm-hmm.
What we had tonight, as far as, numbers wise, like our 6th best offensive line, 7th best offensive lineman, like all those guys playing and have to play. I think one point the Redskins had 4 guards, like of their 5, like they had no tackles left to go out there, and it shows. So no, I'm not shocked at all. To be honest, I wasn't.
Yeah. Well, let's move back. Let's talk about Jameis a little bit more.
Sure.
Because we spent like half of our Buck in the News show, which, by the way, if you guys haven't listened to that, comes out on Saturday mornings, the Buck in the News show. Ren and I had a really good conversation about Jameis being back and what does this look like, especially in light of Allie and DeMar going on IR for the rest of the year, and a bunch of other things, injury reports and transactions and things that we covered. You guys can find that in the podcast feed on your favorite podcast app. Just subscribe to the PewterCast. But Jameis is back, Ren.
Mm-hmm.
We had lots of thoughts about why this was a good thing and what was going to happen, but now we've seen him back for 1 game. He's been off for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Is that right?
Yep.
3.5, I guess, somewhere around there. But Jameis is back. What'd you think of Jameis's play tonight?
I think he looked just like he did before he left.
I disagree.
What?
And I disagree. I'll let you talk, but
Sure.
I disagree.
He made some passes where you're like, holy cow, I can't believe he fit that in there. And hey, James is back. Welcome back, Cam Bray, Adam Humphries.
Yeah.
Those guys falling off the map. Once Kilpatrick, once Fitzpatrick got the start. But Jameis does what Jameis does. Some series he looks like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and then some series you're just like, a high school quarterback knows he can't make that play, can't be that careless with the ball, can't do that. You want him to get out of it, snap out of it, but I don't, at this point you're sort of like, I don't know, but we'll see. We got 4 more games to see if he sort of get that carelessness, recklessness with the ball out of him. But, he extended plays, made plays. I don't think that any quarterback on our roster could have done better with what he had to face with the penalties and playing behind the chains a lot. But man, did the Bucs look like they were allergic to the goal line for a couple of drives in that second half?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They got down there and they just started going backwards.
Well, it's what we've been saying since the preseason. They can't finish the damn drives. They can move the ball, right? I mean, we saw it all game long. This offense can move the ball. They can go up and down the field, whichever direction you want them to go. They can move the ball. They can get it where they need it to go. They just can't punch a damn thing into the end zone, which is why it was such a surprise to see the touchdown in the first quarter on the first opening drive. When was the last time we saw a touchdown on an opening drive? Has it been this season?
1984.
Maybe 1985 with Marty McFly. We'll grab the DeLorean and go back and find it. But I mean, it just, it was so surprising to see, and in a good way. Really, awesome. Let's do that again. But this team just, they got to finish the drives, and they've got to learn how to do that. Which is why it's a good thing for James to be out there. It's the only way you're going to learn.
And Jameis should take his fair blame too.
Mean,
which one of it was one of his best handoffs of the game is when he handed off to their defensive end and let him run in for a touchdown. It's just.
It was so smooth.
That's that part.
It was right in the breadbasket.
That turned the game.
It was the turning point of the game, as they're talking about in the chat room right now.
Yeah, it was not the Bucs offense, because the offensive line could not push the ball down the field deep. He just didn't have the time. So it was going to take the Buccaneers longer drives to get down the field. If we were going to get explosives, it was going to have because of scheming that was blocked well. Not pass protection and a guy gets open. The ball was not going to travel in the air through an explosive. It was going to have to travel a short distance or a handoff, and then the block and the scheme is going to have to get that explosive, which I thought they did a pretty good job.
It works. Yeah, it works.
But that takes a lot of time off the clock to get down there. And in the second half, when they were getting down there, and they, the first couple drives they traded in for, instead of getting 7, they got field goals. That really shrunk the game. As far as how many, they pretty much had to score almost every time they had the ball because it took them so long to score, and then they sort of got a little bit behind the scoreboard with those 2 field goals. Go ahead.
Let's take this call. Remind me, I want to come back and talk to Jameis about why I disagree with you on that.
Sure.
Welcome to the InstantCast with Brent and Ren. Who do we got here with us tonight?
It's Chef Aaron, gentlemen. How you guys doing tonight?
Chef, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Chef?
Oh, not too much. It's just we're in the, as I like to now call it, the Buccaneer way of just finding ways to lose.
That's our Bucs.
That's our Bucs. Meet the Robertsons.
Absolutely.
The Buckersons.
Oh.
I got to find something better than that. That's terrible.
Yes, you do. Chef, what you got for us tonight, man? I know you've been having lots of conversation in the chat room. I've seen you over there. What are your big thoughts on the game for tonight?
Well, other than what I just said, probably the offensive linemen. Obviously, it seems like this is going to be like an off-season revamp, like the Minnesota Vikings style revamp. The only player that I see consistently on that line is Ali Marpet, and I think Dotson is probably going to be retiring at the end of this season. He's 31, 32 years old, and
he will retire. He's getting big money.
Yeah, he just does not look like he's going to come back to this team anyways, especially after all the injuries he's had. And, obviously the running game, we finally saw an effective running game. And, of course, that can't be the reason why we win, of course. But, the defense as a whole, I mean, I don't know how in the blue hell the whole entire game, the offense gets 400 yards of total offense. The defense doesn't allows maybe 200 yards, whatever, with the quarterback on that team getting 84 yards of passing, and they still find a way to lose. It's like, how is that possible?
Well, okay, Chef, I actually want to tackle that specific question because yes, the defense for whatever reason could not stop the run. We talked about that a little bit. And the biggest adjustment we saw all night was on the Packers when they said, "Great, they can't stop the run. Let's just run every single play," which is what we saw happen in overtime. And it might not have been every single play, but it was just about. And whenever they gained positive yardage, it was definitely off the run. So they could do that. Now, the other side of that though is the defense was doing fairly okay, definitely against the run, against shutting them down. The offense was the one, and as Ren and I were just talking a few minutes ago, the offense was the one that was putting up field goals instead of touchdowns. The score tonight should have been 38 to 26. The Packers got all the points that or 20, I guess. The Packers earned every single point that they got. We left so many points. So this is a loss that you.
I got one thing to add on the top of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
How is it that every time this team gets 10 yards away from the end zone, they fall flat on their ass? It's like they freeze, but they can
move
get
backwards.
touchdowns when they're 30, 40 yards away from the damn end zone.
Yeah, I like Ren's theory. They're just allergic to the chalk that they use on the end zone line.
Pretty much. And how many freaking missed tackles? And I swear to God, did we see not just Ryan Smith this time, but how many more people are going to fall down? Seriously.
Yeah.
Is this a cleat issue?
Yeah, this might have been a turf thing because we saw Hundley falling a few times and a couple of their guys as well. But yeah, there was a lot of slips and falls in tonight's game.
Yeah, it was ice skating.
Tackles galore. Oh.
Yeah. So, but Chef, it's one of those things, and you can look out, and people are going to want to find one person or one unit to put the blame on for this entire game, and it's not. If the offense was doing what they really needed to do and actually were scoring touchdowns instead of field goals or actually just scoring, this game would have been, like I said, we would have had 38, 40 points. Rin kind of laughed at me a couple weeks ago when I said, if the team doesn't score 40 points, then I'm pissed off at them. It's because we can move the ball. We should be able to get down there and score that many points, but we're not. Now, the other side of that is the defense. They couldn't stop a run. They couldn't stop a runny nose. And as soon as the Packers figured that out, hey, listen, it's overtime. All we got to do is score a touchdown. This game's over. They don't even get a shot, and that's exactly what we watched them do.
Yeah, this run defense, I sort of got. Is this the worst run defense that this team has had? Because I mean, how many games this year have we had the opponents rush all over us? It's just becoming so damn atrocious. We're letting backups. Like I even said on a tweet, how do we keep letting backups beat us? Isn't that supposed to give us the advantage? But apparently it gives the opponents an even bigger advantage because we can't stop any backups.
Yeah, Ren, you probably have this number fairly close to the top of your head. How many times have we lost to a backup quarterback this year?
Oh, shit. How am I supposed to know that? Let's see.
Case
Keenum, and then Rodgers. We beat Miami.
Barely.
Who'd we beat? Chicago.
Well, I guess I'm referring to all the backups in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, instead of
no, you're right.
Era.
Yeah, it's not mostly win or lose. It's more like a backup comes in and we make him look like he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
And that's the norm,
it's
not the outlier.
bad. The Buccaneer way, as I like to say.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Chef, I'm going to go ahead and clear this line. We'll keep it open for other people to call in, but thanks so much for calling in tonight. All right, buddy?
All right, have a good night, guys.
All right, we'll look forward to your emails. Chef is one of those guys who always sends us an email with his thoughts on the game, and fans, listen, you can do that yourself. It's at thepewtercast@gmail.com. Shoot us your thoughts on the game or anything really having to do with the Buccaneers. We will read that and respond with any thoughts that we have on your email on our final thought show, which will be coming up here in the middle part of the week. Ren, I think before that phone call, phone line is open. If anyone else wants to call in, we certainly would love to take your phone call. 864-729-BUCKS. That's 864-729-2827. I think before we took that phone call, I wanted to go back and say why you had made the statement that Jameis came back and was just looking like Jameis.
Right.
Right.
You want to disagree with me?
I do want to disagree because I didn't think that he looked like Jameis, at least at the start of the game. I felt and I thought that at beginning the game, like all those things that we talked about, we hoped he was going to pick up from Fitzpatrick. I felt like he was,
the defense gives
exactly. It was. I was like, wow, he really looks like he's taken these last 3 weeks and he's starting to incorporate these, and things are going well. Now, as the game went on, it was like he kind of reverted back to old Jameis in a lot of ways. But right. I also watched him throughout the game, like it was almost like his instincts were taking over, right? Like, you're trying to teach an old dog new tricks, and Jameis isn't quite an old dog. He's kind of a medium-aged dog, right? Like he could still well, okay, but he's past potty training or housebreaking, I guess. I don't know, maybe he is.
I see. As far as playing quarterback, he's an old dog.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around for a while, so he's trying to learn some new tricks and learn some new ways to behave. But there are still those things that are just embedded in him for the way he's played, however many years he's been playing football now, right? And like I watched him on some specific plays today, like in the middle of the play, battle that. And there was one in specifically, I think it was the fourth quarter. Yeah, it was the fourth quarter. Kind of towards the end, and it was a sack, but you see the sack coming. Jameis saw the sack coming, and he reaches his arm up to cock it back and throw, and it was going to be a bad throw. You could just tell it. And you're like, no, and he stopped himself and pulled it back in, and he secured the ball. And he held on to the ball and he went down. And then in the next play, or a couple plays later, when he got sacked again, he didn't even throw his arm up. He just like you're almost watching these things kind of click into place, like neuron paths are forming for Jameis Winston right now.
I agree. From the point where he tried to whatever he was doing, trying to get sacked and try to get the ball out so he could save a whopping 6 yards, but decided to hand it to Lowry, the defensive lineman, and change the whole course of the game.
Right.
After that, yes, you could see where there was times where he realized halfway through, like, it's probably not a good idea to throw this. And then there were times where he realized that, hey, this play is over. I'm just going to go down. Like, there's nothing's good going to come of this.
Right.
And then there were times also where that Lowry guy came through again and Jameis ran back 20 yards before he decided to take
there were definitely times he looked like old Jameis, for sure.
Like old Jameis. So, yeah, I see it. It's going to be hard. It really is, because I can see, like, in 3 or 4 years, if he turns into like one of the Mannings who, if you breathe on those guys, they went down.
Right.
Trying to save their bodies. If Jameis sort of turns into that, I could see the narrative switching back to, I really miss the old Jameis, the guy that would never give up on a play. So it's going to be interesting to watch going forward.
Right.
But I do agree with you that, yeah, you felt like you could see the wheels turning in his head and him making decisions on the fly, either, to eat the ball or try to make something of the play.
Yeah. And I'll tell you now, another thing that I noticed all game long that is old Jameis, that I kind of mentally made a note when Fitzpatrick was starting that didn't happen, is just how close Jameis likes to run the play clock. Like, Jameis will take that play clock all the way down to the last second, which is why he so often will get those delay of game penalties. You know,
I don't know if he likes it. I just
don't know
think
if
that's
but he does
that's
it.
the way he runs the offense.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick wasn't. I don't recall that little red box popping up, at the bottom of my TV hardly at all when Fitzpatrick was in. But with Jameis, man, I certainly noticed it. I was a lot more like on edge. So, that is something I would like to see, not happen as much. That might contribute to a little bit of the harried nature sometimes with Jameis. If they're taking so long to get the play call in or to get it communicated or whatever. And they're even saying in the chat room right now he's been doing that his whole career. Yeah, I think that's a next step for him, or that's a step for him to be able to take. So, but that's why I kind of disagree. I don't think he necessarily looked like old Jameis for the whole game. I definitely think
just that one drive. That's your argument.
He started the game.
Drive, he didn't look like
I think he
Jameis.
started the game. He kind of went back into it, and then we're watching him come back out of it again. Going back and forth. Let's see who we got here. Welcome to the InstantCast with Brent and Ren. Who do we got here tonight?
Hey guys, this is Brian from Memphis.
Brian from Memphis. What's going on, buddy?
Memphis. All right, let's go. Let's hear it, Brian.
You ready for me, Ren?
Yeah, I'm ready, buddy. Let's hear it.
Brian, I'll give you 3 minutes, and I'll cut you off if you're still talking. Go.
All right, I don't think it'll take that long. But look, about the game, like, in general, it was a good game. I hate we lost. We should have won. Mm-hmm. That's with a lot of games, I feel like, during the season. But, to pinpoint the conversation you guys are having about Jameis, like, to start off that first drive, Jameis looked like, the quarterback we drafted him to be. Like, he came down. They were like 4 for 5. Very, very, efficient drive. We scored. But after that first drive, it just happened. Like, with Jameis' back, especially with the fumble, he tried to, get rid of the ball going down. Like, it's the same repeated thing. Like, it's the same old song. Like, Jameis, why does you do that? Like, why do you do that? Like, just, take the set. But in general, I can pinpoint certain things. In general, like, as far as Jameis' first game back, like, he looked better. Like, he moved the ball. Of course, he moved the ball. But, like, one thing I always like to say is, stats. You can have all the stats in the world, but if they don't equate to points and points don't equate to wins, what's the purpose? Like, you got Brett Hundley. This guy only had 85 yards, but at the same time, they won. He didn't do much. Mm-hmm. But all he did was just basically prevented them from losing. Like, you look at Jameis Winston, he was 21 for 32 for 270, 2 touchdowns, but, we still lost. I don't necessarily feel like the offense was the problem. We had, a good total offensive yard, like almost 400 yards of offense, but it was just things that I feel like when we was getting the ball back, we just didn't take advantage of scoring. We were kicking field goals when we should have punched it in for the touchdown. Of course, that when he walked up and they hiked the ball and it was a fumble, that messed us up. Like, it was just good miscues. It was bad miscues in the game that we just couldn't take advantage of to get the win. Like, with Jameis, like I was telling Chef in the chat room, like, he didn't do bad, but at the same time, Jameis is Jameis. He's going to do those things. He's going to make those mistakes until he, take that next step to cut that out of his repertoire as far as, like, trying to do too much with the ball going down. Like, just take the set, live to fight another day. Like, Jameis is still going to give you that, and that's what's so frustrating about it, especially with this game we should have won against Brett Hundley. Like, this guy virtually didn't do anything the whole game. Like, but one thing I was looking at as far as QBR, like, he was 13 for 22 for 84 yards, 1 INT with a QBR of 42.3. But Jameis had a QBR of 44.7 with 21 for 32 for 270. So, in essence, they both did the same thing throughout the game. It just turns out that, like, what defense was going to stop who. Peyton Barr came in. He gave us 102 yards, which was a great game for him. But that running back gave us 113. It mattered when he ran them yards. Like, we was able to move the ball. I just hate we were just allergic to, getting it in, like, getting the touchdowns. And it was weird, man. It was like one of those games that I think we all agree, out of these last 5 games, this was a game like, okay, we'll get this game. But
yeah, Brian, this is a game, we talked about this leading into this game, I think, for at least a couple of weeks, Ren, where we said this was a very winnable game, but still playing the Packers at home in Lambeau, especially that team in that field, that's a tall order for any team to go in and do it. It was just a lot more doable without Aaron Rodgers. Right, it was very doable. And we should have. Nobody here tonight is saying that we should have lost this game. I'm sitting here telling you we should have had 38 points tonight. I wholeheartedly believe that. They earned all 20. I'm not going to give them that last one out of overtime. They earned their 20 points. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But we should have had 38 points going out of this game. Don't ask me to calculate why I say 38. I'm just saying 38. But it should not have been even close to being a tie game. And to what you're saying earlier, Brian, and this is why I like having you call in, because you point out stuff like this. The TV announcers were also saying this. The Buccaneers dominated the stat sheet today. We dominated time of possession. We dominated yards. We dominated the catches. We dominated we dominated down the board, except for the one place that mattered, and that's the scoreboard.
Right.
We didn't dominate the scoreboard. We were behind most of the game, actually. Now, it wasn't a runaway game. We kept it close, but we were behind most of the game. Is that right? Am I lying on that? I don't know if most.
No, we were behind most of the game.
We were behind most of the game. Thank you, John.
I mean, because I think they went into the half with what the score was in the half. It was
13-7.
17-10.
13-7. Yeah.
No, it was 17-10 going into the half.
17-10. He's right.
Yeah, you're right.
17-10.
That's
right.
right.
It was 17-10 going into the half, so nobody scored the third quarter. So, I mean, it was just one of those games. I just, like, I of course, you know, when Jameis, made that play when he fumbled the ball, I felt like that was really like one of those plays that just took the little air out the team that we had the momentum. It was just like, man, like again, like, it was just like again. And like when, like, hindsight 2020, you look back on it, like you eliminate that play. Even if we don't score on that drive and we just flip the field. If you just look at the score and then eliminate that play, we would have won. If nobody else even scored anymore, we would have won. It's hard to, ignore those things when we always say about Jameis, we think he's the quarterback has it all, but he makes those mistakes that prove so costly down the end. And it's hard to overlook it. And that's why I'm so critical of him, because he is the quarterback. He is the franchise guy. I just think he needs to make better decisions, especially in moments like that, because that really makes the deciding factor down the end. Mm-hmm. And I'm always be critical of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a franchise.
Yeah, and Brian, you're 100%. I'm going to go ahead and clear this line. We'll give somebody else a chance to call in. But, I don't think anybody would disagree with you to say he needs to make some better decisions. So, Brian, thanks so much for calling in tonight. We'll definitely talk to you again on a future show. All right, buddy?
All right, man.
All right, talk to you later, Brian.
All right, good stuff, Brian.
Yeah, good stuff. So let's go and get it. Ren, I'll let you know, we're coming up on about our hour. Javier asked us a long time ago to go longer than an hour, but we are here. So the phone line is still open. We will continue to go as long as you guys call us. The number is 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. Ren, I forget exactly where we were talking before we took a couple of those phone calls there. Where would you like to go next? What do we got here?
I don't know. We only got 2 minutes, and I'm already late for the bar. So
Ren's wanting to get out to the bar. I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to talk about tonight.
Costly penalties. Pat Murray had a good game. It was a little mystifying how Mike Evans disappeared, given that Green Bay really can't cover anybody. Mm-hmm. But I think also that had to do with Jameis. They just knowing Jameis wasn't going to have time in the pocket. Everything was going to have to be short. Is that a call?
Yeah, let's take this in. We'll see who's calling us here tonight. You are on with Brent and Ren for the InstantCast, keeping Ren out of the bar for just a few more minutes. Who do we got here tonight?
This is Jacob.
Jacob, how's it going tonight,
hey, Jacob?
Jacob, is this your first time calling in?
Yes, sir.
I thought so. Where are you calling from tonight, buddy?
Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee. All right. You're right there in that.
How would you become a Bucs fan, Jacob?
My family, we're all down from Tallahassee, and I've just been a Bucs fan my whole life. So.
Cool.
All right. What's on your mind, buddy?
Really just the usual stuff, what's been keeping us down the whole season. The offensive line really needs to keep holding back the other team's defense. They're struggling with that from what I've watched, and the defense really struggles throughout the games too.
Yeah, that's Yeah, if you could write the narrative besides Jameis Winston getting hurt, I think at the end of the year, the narrative for the Bucs season is going to be offensive line, defensive line. Just, that was probably the main factor in the year not panning out the way we wanted it to be.
Trouble in the trenches.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's this year, the lost season. Hashtag trouble in the trenches. Yeah, buddy. That's it. I mean, if we're going into this off season, and we'll debate certainly between now and throughout the entire off season what's our biggest need. But to say that it's defensive line, and you could even turn around and talk about offensive line, you wouldn't have a hard time making a case for any of those spots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they just every time I watch the game, it's always keep them back, just don't let them through, and they still let the defense through and let them take down the quarterback or whatever, make it throw it away. But
that's what we see. That's what we see. All right, Jake.
Is there anything that you liked about the game? Sorry, Brent.
No, go ahead, man. Good.
I didn't really get to watch this today.
Yeah, being in Tennessee, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the hard part about living out of market, and I tell you, Jake, we talked to so many Bucs fans who are out of market Bucs fans. I'm one. I've got to get mine on I use the NFL ticket for the away games. So, man, it's a tough go when you're a Bucs fan being out of market,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, man, hopefully you get to watch the game back. I don't know if you're familiar. If you get Game Pass, it's only like $100 a year, like for the whole year, and you get like the entire catalog of games, which is cool. So, if that's doable, that's a way for you to go back. You'd have to watch them later, though.
Yeah.
So that's one way to watch them. But man, keep being a Bucs fan. Thanks for joining us tonight for the InstantCast.
Yeah, thanks for calling. Thanks for listening.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much. Hey, hopefully we'll hear from you soon. All right.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later, Jacob. I always like hearing from new people on the show, Ren.
I know, it's exciting.
It is. There's a handful of people in the chat room that have said that tonight was like their first night. They've been listening for a while, and this is the first time joining us in for a live show or anything.
Oh, cool.
So shout out to not just all the new people, but everybody who has been joining us tonight over in the Mixler chat room, mixler.com/the PewterCast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You guys have really helped make this show. Ren, yeah, I think we're just kind of rounding the corner. I think that's just about everything, for at least for the InstantCast. We'll certainly have more thoughts to wrap this up with our final thoughts show where we grade out the game. That'll be coming out on Wednesday. Yeah, should be Wednesday morning. And then we have our Buck in the News show, which will come out over the weekend, usually Saturday morning, where we'll kind of be wrapping up all of the headlines and we'll take a look at injury reports, transactions, and things like that. So, yeah, Ren, with that, man, if you have any final thoughts on the game, and other than that, why don't you tell people where they can find you out there on the internet if they want to talk to you this week?
Final thoughts, it's just frustrating. The game was there for the taking multiple times. And then when the defense finally, did start to bend, it was just too late. Like, I don't think did the Bucs even get the ball. I don't think the Bucs got the ball back after that Evan Smith penalty, where they threw the screen pass and then got up to midfield, and it's like, all right, 2 minutes, here we go. Great play, we're rolling. And then it was 2nd and 20. We never, and then I think we kicked the ball, and then, that was it. Last time we got the ball. Anyway, I don't really know how I was going with that. It just popped into my head. It's just frustrating, frustrating season, frustrating loss. You could point to a lot of things. Obviously, the offensive pass protection is going to come in to play, but I think that the Bucs knew it, and the coaching staff had a pretty good game plan to combat it. The problem is, they came up with plays that normally don't come up every Sunday, which is a block punt, putting up a short field and getting one of their touchdowns, and the other one with I don't know if that's a fumble or an interception the defensive lineman got, Lowy, and then ran it in, so they only scored one touchdown. That was in overtime.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the block punt, but they actually only put like a touchdown drive together in overtime. And like you've been saying, it shouldn't even been that close.
No,
it was
not at
just
all.
once again
Mhm.
shooting themselves in the foot in the red zone. Some bad decisions, and that's it. That's what we are. We are 4-8, and we
Mhm.
deserve to be 4-8.
Yeah, that's a good final thought. Frustrating. That is certainly the word around Bucs fan. You can see it out on social media. You can see it as we're talking to people and even hear it. But you know what, Bucs fans, as frustrating as this is, at least we get to be frustrated together, and that's a part of what this whole podcasting
Yay.
community is. So I want to thank you guys for joining us. If you want to get a hold of me personally, you can find me at Brent Allen Live on Twitter or on Facebook. Ren, where can people find you out there?
Easiest way is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
And if you want to get a hold of the show, you can find us at the PewterCast or on Facebook.com/the PewterCast. Or email us if you're a little more winded than the 140 character, 280 actually, I guess now that Twitter gives you. Email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Like we said earlier in the show, if you email us your thoughts on the game or actually anything, we will take those and we'll read those on our Final Thought show coming up later on this week. So hopefully we'll hear from you guys. With that, Ren, I think we'll close out this show. We've got 4 more games, just 4 more left of the season. We've got the Lions at home this week. It'll be good to have a home game. It's with everything notwithstanding. Hopefully we're home. Hopefully we're not in the white uniforms, because I'm kind of starting to buy into that whole superstition. But until then, I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But until then, I'm going to close it out by saying, go Bucs.
Beer 30 for me. And shot 30. And cigarette 30.
All right, we are out.